Oh, hey there. You got my message. We're starting just a little bit later today on Father's Rights. And it's the worst time because Connor has run out and Dan's not here and my phone is ringing like crazy. But I promised you live on Father's Rights and I am going to deliver. So let's begin with the basics. When does father's rights usually come up as a case issue? Well, usually it comes up in custody. It also comes up in support. Today we're going to talk mostly about custody. Why is that? Because for many of us, we grew up in a time period with your parents separated. People expected that your mother would be the one who would handle most of the care of the child. What we've discovered, however, is that children obviously need both of their parents. That's why we have two of them, at least, right? And the case law has determined at this point that mothers and fathers have an equal right to parent their children. Equal. 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 Seen that happen in practice in a lot of ways. So what ends up happening is one parent usually has primary custody. And in often cases that is the mother. Sometimes it's because the mother's the best fit. Sometimes it's because everyone just assumed that in the event that there was a separation, mom got the kids. But we've discovered lately that there are cases where dad has been the primary parent and was the primary parent during the course of the relationship or since the relationship has ended. And they've had difficulty getting help in court. For them to be treated like the primary parent. I'll never forget a father years ago said, I don't want daddy weekends. I don't want to just be fun dad. I want to parent. I want to go to student-teacher meetings. I want to talk to the teachers. I want to do homework. That's really, really important, and it struck me in a very real way. So what happens if you are in a situation where you are a father and you want to parent in a more full-time way? Well, for the most part, you need an attorney, because I'm sad to say that when a man walks into court alone in many of these custody courts, he does not necessarily get the presumption that he should be an equal parent. We've been working on it. I know I have, and some of my colleagues have for a while. But having an attorney definitely helps. I remember one time I got very angry because my client was very close to joint custody, and I said, look, let's just make it joint custody. Week for one parent, week for the other, a day during the week for the opposite where they could have dinner or just stay the night with the other parents. Everyone gets to see their child every week. And the custody master looked at me and said, well, why would he be upset? He gets more than other fathers. I was like, excuse me? Excuse me? He gets more than other fathers? What are you talking? I was so angry that my client actually grabbed me by the shoulder, by the arm and said, come on. Come on, Jackie, come on. I was like, I will make it my mission to destroy this woman's career if she keeps this up. She doesn't belong here. But I get passionate about it. I have a lot of reasons for being passionate, and as my kids get older, I tell less of those reasons because they're like, stop telling our whole life story about everything. But it's a very, very important issue. So if you are in a situation where you are a father especially, and you want a more robust relationship with your child or children, I think you should look and talk to an attorney who understands the importance of fathers. If you're a mother, and you have thought that you should be in charge solely because you're the mother, I'm asking you to re-examine that. You had children with this man. You found something in him to like at some point. And if you don't think your children will be harmed, if you just think you do it better, then I want you to consider that sometimes they need that difference. Sometimes they need counterbalance to what you do may be better. I don't know. People are calling me during my Facebook Live, people who I don't know ruining my Facebook Live, which means I don't know how this is going to sound afterwards because that can be awful. I don't know how to stop this. I mean, technology is great, but these people who are interrupting me when my very, very important conversation with all of you is happening, it's really frustrating. So if you have questions, obviously, as always, you can ask questions during this time period. I'm having some tea because I really feel like tea and talk go together. And as you can see, I have some villains because I love the villains. I mean, Ursula and Maleficent, especially Ursula. I mean, she's a misunderstood octopus, I really think. Now I'm turning into my teenager with one of her YouTube videos. Like, no one wants to watch me eat and drink on video. But let's talk about what happens then if you are a father and you are trying to establish a desire to have more robust contact with your child. One, you want to keep records. You want to keep track of the time that you spend with your child so you can see whether you're getting more or less than the other parent. You also want to keep track of the time when you're spending time outside of your custody order, where mom may call you and say, can they stay with you for a couple of days? Can they have a week without you? You may want to look at some things specifically like, yeah, mom is perfectly willing to let them be with you every day after school, but only the overnights have to be with her. That sometimes could be a clue that there's a financial motivation instead. You want to look at what activities your kids do and what you do with them. What's the difference between your household and the other household? Maybe you're the household that is more structured for schoolwork. Or maybe you're the household that handles more of the outside activities and extracurricular activities. Whatever it is, you want to be aware of what you have to offer. Maybe you have, the bedroom where they grew up and they're used to that. Or maybe it's a new experience, something new. You may be newly married or remarried, and there may be another sibling where there's no sibling in mom's house, but you want to make sure that both the children, your new child and your other child from the previous marriage, that they are actually in a relationship with each other and they had to get a chance to act as siblings. There are a lot of factors that we look at when we look at changing custody. And sometimes it may just be as simple as, I just want some equal time. I want to come home from work, put my feet up, have a good dinner with my kid, just like I used to do years ago, and talk about their day. Talk about my day. So that's something. You want to keep a calendar to give it that kind of idea. You want to also have a plan. What does your plan look like? It shouldn't just be, mom shouldn't get all that time. Your plan should look like, I think it's best for my child to have Monday and Tuesday with mom, Wednesday and Thursday with me, and then we split every other weekend. Why did I choose those days? I chose those days because on Mondays, they go to Bible study at mom's house. But on Thursdays, we go to karate at my house. I don't know. Whatever the reason is. Could be vice versa. The point is you want to have a plan. You want to have a reason for those things. You want to try to negotiate with mom if you can. Talk to her about what you want, how you want to do it, and give some ideas and have some flexibility. Why is that important? Because you don't want to go into court having not talked about it. I've been in court cases sometime where we spent money to hire me, which, thank you. One of my kids needs braces. And the other parent will go, I don't know why we're in court anyway. He could have just asked me. I would have said yes to that. And in fact, they do say yes to that in court. So if there is a negotiation to be had, then have the negotiation. Okay. The other thing you may want to consider is, I think I did something to the light. The other thing you want to consider is that sometimes you may get really important information that the other parent is completely out of control. So you want to know that as well. Now, here's the most important thing that will come up. If a parent is out of control, if a parent is acting erratically or something is wrong, you don't wait months and say, well, then I went to a lawyer. Well, at the point where she was missing for 5 days and you didn't know where her or your child was, that's when you go to court quickly. At the point where your child was injured or possibly injured, that's when you go to court quickly. You don't wait and wait and wait. You also don't wait and say, well, I didn't have the money. And I get it. You can always file without a lawyer if you don't have the money. In an emergency situation, do it. You can also look at some of the new plans we're coming up with where you can keep us on retainer so that you will already have a bank of money in place and have access to a counsel immediately in case of emergency. We're working on some plans like that because I realize we're having a lot of people who are having difficulty getting money together all at once, but they'd be better paying a monthly retainer so that they always have access to counsel. So that's a possibility, but you never ever wait. When there's an emergency, you never ever wait, okay? Your child's safety is more important than anything else. Also, you want to consider philosophy and what you feel about raising kids. Sometimes one parent is very lenient. Sometimes one parent is very harsh. Sometimes one parent is one religion while the other is another, and you agreed to something and that person is reneging on that. Those are times where it may make sense to go back to court as well. You want to follow along with the plans that you made when you were happy. Now, of course, if something changes, something important changes, obviously that's an important thing. If one of the parents, if the parents were in a cult and one of them realized, wait, this is the cult that wants us to kill our kids, and I've grown out of that, obviously you don't have to follow that, right? But most things are not that extreme. So what I want you all to think about is, how do I set up my case in such a way that I can have a really robust and important relationship with my child so that I can minimize the amount of time that I'm in court and so I can maximize the amount of time that I'm with my child. There's so many factors that go into this. There are so many things that you will probably be hearing from us over the course of the next several months and years. So what I'd say is that if you are someone who is experiencing difficulty in custody, whether you're a mother or a father, that you want to look at all these principles and you want them to be forefront in your mind. If nothing more than just keeping the calendar so you're aware of who has more time. If nothing more than being calm and speaking to the other person more than, before you go to court. Those two things alone make a huge and big difference. However, if speaking calmly, discussing the matter cannot fix it for you, you are going to want to seek a lawyer, and you want to seek your attorney as early in the process as possible. You do not want to concede your rights. You do not want to hand over primary custody of someone to someone immediately because you think you have no choice. As soon as it looks like there's going to be an issue as to who has custody, you need to bring it to your attorney. I think you'd also should consider things like holidays. Some of you value other holidays more than others. Some of you value both the same holidays. And so what you'll want to do is you want to make sure that when you're making that list of possible days for custody, that you include holidays in that. Contact with family members. Sometimes there's someone who has, grandparents who it's really important to spend time with, or someone who has a problematic family member who has a criminal history or a history of abuse, and you want to make sure that person is not involved with your child. Those are all things to bring forth to your attorney. Let him or her know so that they can deal with them as they make this agreement. Now, here's the other thing. As many of you who've dealt with me know, you don't always have to go to court. It is always my goal to make things as best as I can for your family, as best as I can for your children. Many of you have heard this. I've told you, I don't work for you, I work for your kids. And if I think you're doing something awful for these kids, I'm going to tell you, and I don't care what money you're paying for me. So if you are on the opposition right now and you think, I never really liked my ex's lawyer, just so you understand that whatever you see me doing in court, I'm doing it because I'm trying to get the best interest for your child. And that your ex agreed to that when they hired me. Your ex agreed that even if they want something else, if I think it will harm your child, I will tell them, no, I won't do that. That's really important because sometimes you think your ex is out to get you, and I promise you that if they've hired me, they've already heard I'm here for the kids. So I try not to do everything as a court hearing. What I try to do instead is negotiate. If we can negotiate, if we come to an agreement, we do something called a stipulation. A stipulation simply means an agreement that I am doing a Facebook Live, and apparently no one cares about my Facebook Lives today. But we can do a stipulation. We can agree on something that will keep you from court, but will be a legally binding agreement. So that is absolutely possible. If that doesn't work, then of course we will go to court. We will go to conference level offices all the way up to an actual trial if we need to. Sometimes it doesn't go to a trial. Sometimes it can be negotiated before then. So the important thing is that when you're dealing with children, while it's very important to remember your rights as a parent, it's much more important to remember the rights as a child, because a child has a right to be parented by both of their parents, provided that they're safe for them. So thank you for joining us today on today's Facebook Live on Father's Rights. Facebook Live. Next time I'm going to totally do my makeup first. I'm not. I'm just going to be who I am. I may put on lipstick. I don't know. I may edit this part out when I put on the YouTube page. I don't know. But if you have any other great ideas for what we should do our Facebook Lives on, if you have any more questions, things you're interested in knowing about, do you want to know some really cool aspect of the law, we are willing to explore it with you. So hit us up here on Facebook or on Instagram at Jones ASSOC. Twitter, Jones ASSOC LAW, Jones Associates Law. Pinterest, Jones Associates, again, JONESASSOC. Hit us up, tell us what you'd like to hear more about, and we will try to accommodate you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.